For more on this, we're now joined from Ghana by Niagalé Bagayoko. She's the president of a think tank called the African Security Sector Network. Hello, thank you very much for your time. Now, the last time that President Macron and these 5 African leaders met was in France 6 months ago. How would you say the jihadist threat in West Africa has evolved since then?
I think there are 2 ways to read what is the situation now. And in fact, there are the 2 faces of the same coin. On the one hand, we can see that a lot of terrorists have been neutralized according to the communique made both by the Barkhane French operation and by G5 Sahel countries. And there has been a very clear victory when the chief leader of ACMI, Drukdale, was killed a few weeks ago. And we can also see that better coordination mechanisms have been introduced in the framework of the so-called MCC, which is a joint command mechanism. Which is meant to better articulate G5 Sahel countries and French militaries. But on the other hand, there has been a lot of problems on the ground. The first one has been the very important number of abuses which have been committed on the ground, included by defense and security forces of the G5 Sahel countries, according to reports made by human rights organizations or by the United Nations themselves. Also, another problem has been the corruption scandals, which have been, which we can have seen, for instance, in Niger, with the diversion of defense budget, which have been very badly perceived, including by soldiers on the ground, which are killed every day or at risk. You can see also that there have been new attacks, even if there have been much less attacks than at the end of 2019, where massive attacks in Niger or in Mali have been a shock, in fact. We can see that a few weeks ago you had a massive attack in central Mali again, and also a new one at the border of Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso, which shows that the threat is expanding, in fact.
All right, so an update there on the situation on the ground, and also, like you say, issues, leadership issues, corruption issues, all contributing, complicating factors. How would you say the countries stand today at this meeting? Are they united? Are they all on the same page? What are the main bones of contention at these talks?
I think that officially there is real unity, and in fact, this launch of the so-called International Coalition for Sahel is something which was welcome, and in fact, for which Sahelian countries have been pleading for months, in fact. So from this perspective, there is unity. But as you know, probably some countries have decided to open negotiation with some jihadist leaders in Mali, in fact. It was a consequence of the recommendations which were made in late 2019 when the so-called national political dialogue was held, and whose recommendation was to open negotiation with 2 jihadist leaders, namely Amadou Koufa and Niagalé. And those negotiations were opened, and I'm not sure that all the leaders are on the same page, including France, in fact. So this will be probably discussed during the workshop meeting today.
Now, as our reporter in Mauritania mentioned when we went to him live earlier, not only are the leaders of France and Spain there, leaders of Italy and Germany joining in via video conference. How important is that? How significant is that, do you think, that there are more European countries getting involved?
I think it is important to see that you have European leaders taking part to this meeting, because in fact, you know, France in particular has been trying to involve European countries in the so-called Takuba force, which is meant to gather special forces from European countries. And in fact, this approach was successful from a political point of view, with 11 leaders, with European leaders, which have been which have brought their support to this force. But from an operational point of view, there are not so many contributors at this stage. But what is happening today, I think, is a success to have Spain, to have Italy as well, because Takuba, in fact, is not related to the European defense and security policy per se, but having those leaders, and also the fact that the European Union will be directly committed in one of the pillars of the new Sahel coalition, which is the third one, and which is meant to bring support to police and security forces, not to the military only, is also a success, which shows that support, international support, can be expanding.
Okay, Niagalé Bagayoko, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for your time and your analysis.
Thanks.
Now, for the first time